Sunday mornings, but if you are not up early on a Sunday morning, but you want to hear the best stuff from the week, that is available on the iHeartRadio app. As is the Poundcake podcast, of course. A new episode of the Bill Squire Show there as well. And are you getting good feedback on the Poundcake podcast this week?
People tweeted me and said that they liked it, so.
Yeah. Well, good. Your boy Fancy hit me up yesterday.
Oh, he hit me up on...
Why is he always hitting people up?
Because he wants me to, like, blow up your spot or something.
There's nothing he can say that I won't say myself.
I know. I understand that. That's why I don't ever, like...
He invited me to a little get-together on Saturday.
Yeah.
I was like, I respectfully, I couldn't go because I had plans with my daughter. She turned 21 back in December, but she had COVID on her birthday. And she, like, her schedule and my schedule didn't work out where we both had a weekend off until this past weekend. So we got to do her 21st birthday celebration that she's been dying to do.
What'd you guys do?
She wanted to go to Corkies and sing karaoke with me, and she's wanted to do that for a long time. So that's what we did, and it was very fun. Did a shot. She may have done more, but I did one.
You only did one shot?
Yeah.
Of what? Jager?
No.
Whiskey.
You're such an old man.
What? What's the matter with
Do
Jägermeister?
people still do shots of Jaeger?
I like Jager.
The only time I ever did shots of Jaeger was at, like, comedy shows in small towns where, like, that was their drink in this, 300-person town.
Well, I don't know that it's anybody's drink. It's just that all bars have that Jager shot machine, I think.
I guess.
I think they've blanketed the country with those.
I don't think they're as popular anymore.
Not anymore.
Really? It's not my go-to, but I'd never heard that it was like an old man shot.
Just did some Cleveland whiskey. But we had a good time. We sang "Say It Ain't So" by Weezer and "California Girls" by
Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
Because that was one that, like, I remember the summer we'd go. They were in swim lessons, and then we'd hang out and swim. And that was, like, the song of the summer.
Yeah.
So that would be, like, on in the pool all the time.
So you did the Snoop part?
No, she did the Snoop part.
Hey!
You did the Katy Perry part.
Well, we both did the Katy Perry part, but it was my idea to do that song. And she's like, yes, let's do that one. And she's like, but I'm doing the Snoop part. I'm like, go for it.
Yeah.
Do the Snoop part. But it was a good time.
And did she get, were you trying to stay pretty level because she was going to get
Yeah, I mean,
cracked?
And she didn't get, like, too drunk either. Like
because she's been 21 for a minute.
She's been 21 for a minute, and I mean, obviously she just started drinking a few months ago.
She's out with her dad.
Yeah, she's out with her dad, so like she didn't want to get.
That's a big one.
Uh-huh.
But it was a good time. Place was packed, and I was nervous that we weren't even going to be able to get a song in, but we did. We got a couple songs in. We got some drinks. It was a good time.
The Corkies get some real talent in there, right? On karaoke nights?
Yeah.
It's 7 nights a week.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 7 nights a week?
Yeah, they're every
I only
night.
went when Gwen used to play kickball. They'd go to Corkies after, and those are the only times I'd ever make it over there. I didn't realize they did that 7 nights a week.
That's why it's such a popular spot, because everyone knows.
It didn't used to be that. They must have expanded it over the years. It didn't used to be that way, did it?
They didn't Well, it didn't used to be 7 nights a week, but it's been 7 nights a week for...
I started going there in 2017.
Yeah,
so
I've
at
been
least the
there
last
a
5
long
years.
time.
At least the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's probably around like 2015, 2016 when they started doing it 7 nights a week. And it's a good time.
The summer after my wedding got called off, I was living in Lakewood. And so I was out every single night. And my sisters and I would go to Corkies like 3 nights a week at least to like play pool and sing karaoke and get hammered for cheap.
It's a lot of going out. It's a lot of getting hammered.
Well, all 3 of us were single for the first time in our lives at the same time. So we were all just...
You were wilding out.
We were going nuts. And I had my little baby divorce studio apartment. People just... One time, I didn't have an air mattress or anything, but for whatever reason, when we came home from spring training in Arizona... Gwen and I went and bought a bunch of stuff. We're like, oh, we'll use all this at the pool. And I had bought a pool floaty that I never used. We were only there for 2 days. And so when my sisters would get super drunk and sleep over, one of them would always sleep on the pool
floaty.
On the floor, yeah.
And it's okay if you feel like you're going to fall off because it's on a floor.
Yeah,
you're not going to
okay.
go into the pool or anything.
Someone sang Lagwagon on Saturday, and it was so packed I couldn't see who it was.
What is that?
It's a punk band from the 90s. And
You like Lagwagon.
I love Lagwagon.
Yeah.
And they sang May 16th. I'm like, who is this person that's trying to be my friend? And I couldn't, by the time I got up there, they had already walked away. And I was like, who was singing? And everybody's like, oh, I don't know, because nobody knew that song except for me, so nobody's paying attention. So if you're out there, guy that sang Lagwagon on Saturday at Corkies.
Wow. That's
I
a
appreciated
deep cut.
it. Yeah.
Huh. What was Fancy trying to blow you up about, Poundcake?
I'm assuming because I passed out early at his party on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
What did he say?
I don't know. What's his name? Travis?
Tyler.
I don't think I still have the email, but he was just like, hey, because I've never met the guy, but he always like emails me like I know him or something.
Well, he comes out to our events sometimes.
Oh, so I
And
have met him?
The reason why he goes by Fancy is because I think Bill called him Fancy because he brought like this big elaborate fur coat to one of the Polar Blasts, and he's been there. He's met us as a show.
Okay.
But I know him personally.
Okay.
But yeah, he tends to do that because he thinks for some reason he has something over me, which there's nothing that I've done at his house that I wouldn't talk about on the show. I was going to save it for the podcast because I was going to record it with Fancy. But since he wants to give all the 411, there's no need to.
Well, no, I don't even know. I don't know where the email is, but I just remember that he...
But no, I took an edible, despite my better judgment, because I was like, it's been a long time since I've taken an edible. And I go over to his house, and there was a guy there. He was like, now, this is a 50 milligram edible. I said, I don't want that. He's like, immediately. He's like, well, just take a piece of it.
50 milligrams?
A 50
way too much.
milligram edible.
Jesus Christ.
He was like, well, just take a piece of it. And I'm like, well, okay, even if I take a quarter, off the top of my head, I don't do math well. How much is that?
Like 13.
And still, I hadn't taken edibles
12-ish,
in a long time. I've been hitting my pen, but that edible is a very different high. So I go over there, I'm drinking or playing music, and I took a quarter of the edible, and then on top of that, I tore that apart and took like half of that. So I'm thinking it's going to be like 5-10 milligrams.
Yeah, that's right.
Whatever it was too much. And I had already been feeling kind of woozy earlier that day.
Were you drinking too?
I was drinking too, but before that, like I had went out the night before because I was at Barrio and I got the margaritas and the tacos. So I was already hungover, and then I went over there to party some more. And I was like, girl, you're not in your 20s anymore. So while everyone's downstairs having a raging party, the edible hit me and I felt kind of dizzy. So I go up to Fancy's house, like upstairs, and he has like a sitting room outside his bedroom. I took my coat, made a little pillow, and I went to sleep. And they thought I was dead. And they're like, oh, you don't party anymore. I'm like, yes, I don't party anymore. Stop inviting me over.
Right.
Because you make me feel bad because I'm like, no, I'm not doing shrimp. But at the same time, I don't want to do that.
How old are they?
They're my age.
Well, then what are they trying to prove?
I don't know. But they're like, oh, you don't have it anymore. You're no fun. I'm like, no, I'm not. I took an edible and I can't hang. Like,
Right.
Guys,
what-
I'm trying to tell you that I'm not fun.
Stop
all right?
inviting me over.
Please, I'm trying to get this. No, I found it. He said that somebody suggested that you do a video parody of your mother.
we had to have discussed this while I was high.
A friend suggested that Poundcake does a video parody of his drag persona, but as his mom. Please make this happen. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't sound funny to me.
That's something to discuss tonight on the podcast because I don't remember this conversation. Hell, like people were. I hate when people take pictures when I'm under the influence because, like, I feel like I'm over there just as a puppet.
Why didn't you just call an Uber?
Because I was planning on staying the night. It wasn't the problem that it was just how I felt.
They didn't draw wieners on your face or anything, did they?
No, they left me alone, but they were just like, wow, you really can't hang. I'm like, I told you I couldn't. Like they were telling me, oh,
Why are you surprised?
They were like quarter of the edible.
They thought that they were going to prove you wrong. They thought that you were going to be like,
They were like, all you do
you were
is
going to
nap.
power through. All you do is nap.
They were like, all you do is nap. I'm like, but so do you want me to faint and hit my head? They're like, you're not going to faint. And I'm like, I'm feeling pretty woozy. You're like,
let me tell you about another sleepover. I love this story. We have a bunch of bureau chiefs in the great state of Oklahoma. We have Brad, who lives in Yukon, Oklahoma. We've got Spencer, who's in Tulsa. We got a handful of people in Tulsa. Julie listens in Sallisaw, Oklahoma. There's a woman who's running for U.S. House. She's running. Her name is Abby Broyles of Oklahoma. She's a blonde, looks kind of scholarly. She's got the foxy glasses on. She's a Democrat. And she's trying to get a U.S. House seat in Oklahoma, but says she has no recollection of what happened on the night of a daughter's sleepover. A friend's daughter's sleepover where apparently this woman got drunk or had taken prescription medication and started cursing the girls out and screaming at them and hurling racial epithets. And
Oh my God.
she says she visited a friend's house and the friend's daughter had a group of 12 and 13-year-old girls over for a sleepover. So the mom probably called her and goes, look, I don't want to be here alone with all these girls running around. Why don't you come over? I'll have some wine, whatever. And that's what happened. She and her friend had some wine. She said she took a sleeping pill she had never taken before.
Always a good idea.
Always good, yep. And it makes for great, when you get caught, you can go, I took this medication, I did it. Anyway, she said she's had a long history of insomnia. She took a sleeping pill she'd never taken before that her friend offered her. Her friend said, hey, take this. And then she said she blacked out and doesn't recall what any of the girls say happened. Which is that this woman who is 32, a young woman.
It's my age.
She called the girls acne effer, Hispanic effer, judgy effer. So she likes throwing the F word around. One of the girls, who's 12, said that the lady was really nice initially, and then it was like a switch flipped. And she kept telling me that I was never going to be as successful as her.
Oh, God.
Well, this is the way
gonna
to
be as
actually
successful as
prove the other.
I know I'm 20 years older than you, and you are 12, but you are never going to be as successful as me.
Let me tell you something about what it isn't. You go wake up all over on a couch and you say, who's my hero? And you say Tiffany. And then he goes to bed about it.
Let me tell you what it isn't. Let me tell you what it isn't. Sarah Matthews, whose daughter was at the sleepover, posted a series of tweets. This is how this whole thing started. She tagged this woman in one of her tweets and says, it's been 5 days and you haven't apologized to any of the young ladies that you verbally and emotionally abused last weekend.
I'm surprised they do post TikTok videos
Yeah, I was
of
going to
her.
say, this seems like video territory for sure.
For somebody who pontificates to be undyingly pro-woman, I am disgusted by your behavior, the woman said, saying that the woman also vomited in one of the girls' shoes.
Goodness.
Considering how much you bragged about how rich and successful you are to these children, surely you can afford to replace her shoes, the mother said. So this woman allegedly takes a sleeping pill and some wine and goes off on these 12-year-old girls. You're never going to be as successful as me. I'm going to puke in your shoes.
Who bought these shoes? Are tip-top shoes? What do you do with them, huh?
Oh, God. I love it. She initially denied completely that she had been at a party, but the TikTok videos
There it is.
Ding, 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 ding.
show otherwise. And her friend, the homeowner, confirmed it. Unfortunately, it really was as bad as it sounds.
What's
said
her
the
name?
Abby Broyles.
Abby Broyles.
The woman said she met Broyles in law school and asked that her name be withheld. She went from zonked out to attacking the kids. Well, what do they say when somebody's like on Ambien, right? Like they found people operating heavy machinery and driving their car, and they don't remember any of it. So maybe that was part of it. She eventually apologized when the TV cameras showed up. I guess she used to be a news anchor or something, and now she wants to be in politics. You see that a lot on the left and the right. You see people who were on TV news, they get some name equity, and then they go, forget this, because that's an increasingly tough business. And they go, I'll just get into politics. People know who I am. I don't want to sell houses. Said she was starting to hallucinate, and then everything got blurry. I just remember opening my eyes and vomiting in a hamper. So she's puking everywhere. She's thrown up in these girls' shoes. She's puking in a laundry hamper.
They had to have been taken down, these videos, because I'm like, there's...
Yeah. It's just people talking about it.
Yeah.
There's no video of it actually happening.
As someone who has been drunk and taken Ambien at the same time, full-blown blackout. I mean, I was a blackout drunk to begin with, but like if you take an Ambien and you have a glass of anything, you're going to be zonked.
But on its own, it's hard, as I understand it. I've never taken one, but as I understand it, it's hardcore knock you out medicine.
My dad was prescribed it because he had such severe sleep apnea because he was so heavy. So my dad had Ambien, and it actually was one of the things that led to, from what his story is, that one of the things that led to him gaining so much weight is because he would take an Ambien, get up in the middle of the night, eat a full meal.
Sleep eat.
And never remember any of it.
Yeah.
And then wake up the next day, he'd go downstairs and there'd be carnage. There'd be like plates and half a chicken's gone. He's like, I guess I ate an entire meal.
oh my God.
Well, that's how I think that's how they first started to find out about that stuff, because people were complaining in the early days of Ambien, how come you guys don't list weight gain as a side effect? And they're like, it's not a side effect. And then they found out that people were getting exactly as you describe it.
Yeah.
Or somebody would be in their car and not know that they went somewhere.
Yeah.
They're in their pajamas driving, you know. So that with wine.
Oh, yeah. And I fully believe that. I guess I just don't understand why do it at a children's sleepover. I did that kind of stuff because I hated myself and I was alone, and I'm like, screw it, I'll mix medication.
Well, I guess I assume she figured she would just go out and fall asleep.
Oh, that her body wouldn't keep going.
Yeah.
I don't think she did this as like, this is going to be a night to remember.
Right.
Can't wait to tell these kids all these names.
Yep. A Hispanic effer. So one of the girls must have been like dating a Hispanic kid or something. So pukes in her shoes, throws up in a hamper, tells him she's not going to be as successful as her. Imagine being these kids.
I'm like, all right, lady.
They'd be like, oh my God, what? Okay.
My one friend, her mom had a drunk friend, right? So this is that friend's house that had the pool and the deck and the hot tub that we would always go over there in the summertime. And her mom's best friend, she liked to drink wine.
Walking around in a caftan.
Yes, yeah. She had a hot bod, and she was in her 40s, so she was always in a bikini, and she was like the mom's drunk friend, and we all loved her. But there were
but also hated her life.
Oh, yeah. Divorced, all that kind of stuff.
There you go, yeah.
But there were a few times where she had a little too many and it got weird. Because as a kid, you're not drunk or anything. You're like, man, she's on some... Did you hear what she said about her ex-husband?
Is she okay? Is she...
She just blamed 9/11 on her ex-husband.
On her ex-husband.
So, I don't know.
Well, to be fair, check out the ex-husband.
Right.
They're still looking for, some of those people.
Accomplices, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Eric.
Yeah. I was going with you guys. What's your opinion on this whole President Biden not supporting the Ukrainians by sending in air support?
The Ukrainians?
If they don't want to support the Ukrainians by sending ground troops, why don't they at least have the common sense to at least try something with air support?
Well, Eric, I'm sure you're aware there's a no-fly zone over the Ukraine, which is an awful idea, but that's what's going on right now. They're not going to send in ground troops, which is the smart play.
I know.
That's the smart play.
But it's borderline not the right way to do it, because if we don't...
No, it's the right way to do it. We have no business sending ground troops in there. Eric, are you okay?
I'm willing to go there.
Eric, are you okay right now? You sound like you've had a couple.
No, not yet.
Not yet. You're stone cold sober.
Yeah.
This is you sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You're not at work today? Like, what do you do?
I think the president needs to at least do something.
Yeah, well, he is. They're doing a lot of things, Eric. Yeah. Eric, what do you do?
Financially, it's not going to work.
Okay. Eric, what are you doing today?
Watching Fox News and
so the full spectrum of coverage.
The carnage that our president is not willing to
right.
Put his
how is it his fault?
Into and do the right thing
and do what would be the right thing?
Send in air support.
Yeah, that's the wrong thing, Eric. You want American planes shot down? You want American pilots killed?
Remember Afghanistan?
You want American pilots killed, Eric?
Look at how many is there.
You know what you understand what a no-fly zone is, correct? It doesn't just mean that people can't fly over the country. It means that if you are flying over the country, you'll be shot down.
But I'm not talking about flying into Ukraine itself. I'm talking on the border.
Which border?
The north and the northeast.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what. You should write your congressman, Eric. Okay, thank you. There's Eric, who's in Paynesville and is working some things out.
It is a pain.
Appreciate the call, pal. Okay, I got to take a break. I'm going to have those John Mulaney tickets for you. He's going on a stadium. Well, he's doing an arena tour, shouldn't say stadium. From Scratch, though, is the new hour. He's going to do it at the Romo Fijo in September. Just did SNL this weekend. So if you want to see John Mulaney, I will hook you up out of this break. If you want to send a text for something, 35192, and we'll be back.
It's the Alan